Hello everyone and welcome back to Helen's Honest Baking. I've been inspired recently by my own trip to Levain Bakery in New York City, much like Cupcake Gemma, so today we are returning to her book Crumbs and Doilies to kitchen test the Double Choc New York cookies. These are a gooey, almost brownie-like cookie with a crunchy outside, and they are perfect to keep handy in your freezer for those sneaky chocolate cravings. So let's dive right in and get baking. First up, butter. We're bruising up 230 grams of unsalted butter, cold and cubed, here in our stand mixer for 20 seconds. We want butter nuggets that are ready to accept, you guessed it, sugar. 160 grams of light brown and 160 grams of the caster or fine sugar to be exact. I'm like 60% sure my brown sugar is too dark, but we'll see if that makes any difference. Unlike other cookies, we only cream these with the mixer for 30 seconds. Next up, we're just blending in 400 grams of dark chocolate chips. I've gone for more of a small pastille here since I like the quality, and with these cookies we're going for soft and goopy on the inside. This looks like an awesome snack on its own for movie night. It's time to add our classic dry ingredients. So out of the gate we've got 300 grams of plain flour paired with 130 grams of self-raising flour, which is baking powder and salt already mixed in. So we carefully add in the flours in batches, decorating the bench wherever possible. Now we're adding in the novel ingredient for this bake, black cocoa powder. So we already know from our previous videos that Dutch processed cocoa has been alkalized to reduce its reactivity with the leaveners in your mix, like your baking soda. Black cocoa takes it one step further and is super alkalized, which is what makes it so dark in color. We're blending in 70 grams until it's just mixed through. It is so fine that I feel like I'm inhaling a cloud of the stuff. It smells potently chocolatey, and you can see how the mix is almost dark grayish in color. Are we making dirt? Let's keep the faith and keep moving with 1 teaspoon of salt. And I add 2 teaspoons of baking powder off the camera because I totally forgot but caught it in time, so it's all good. Like our other New York style cookies, we're leaving the eggs to last to prevent the gluten forming too early and toughening up our mix. Here we're cracking in 2 eggs plus 1 extra yolk, and again just mixing those in until we can form a chunky yet sandy batter. I'm totally confused by how dry this is. This does not seem right. So the next step is to turn it out onto a board and squeeze it into a dough, but I've got, concrete mix. So I cross-check all the ingredients, and what I think has happened is my eggs were just a little bit too teeny tiny and they didn't provide enough of a bonding agent to hold it together. Let's mix in 1 more egg and see what happens. Aha, now this looks right. An actual dough, and nice and dark at that. So I guess this is a lesson I can share. If your eggs look a bit small, add an extra one. So now we're just getting back onto the cookie cannon. This is still naturally a crumbly dough, but I'm balling these up with our medium-sized cookie scoops straight from the board. These cookies come better fresh from the freezer, so I'm storing these close together on a parchment-lined tray and locking them in a plastic bag for storage in the freezer for at least 2 hours. See you later. Sometime after, it's baking time, and I have my standard lined cookie sheet ready to go and my oven preheated to 375 Fahrenheit with fan on. So let's get these bad boys baking. 16 minutes in the oven later, plus another 20 minutes of cooling, during which I had to hire a guard dog to protect them. We have Double Choc New York cookies. And they look so intensely dark and they smell amazing. I'm really happy with how these have turned out, and I can see already they're nice and crisp on the outside, and with our close-up, super brownie-like and melty on the inside. 1 hair continuity error later, it's time to see how these hunks of goodness stack up against our other cookies. And the hair drama continues. It looks like I decided to shed on the cookies. You saw nothing. This is real home baking, people. In terms of appearance, honestly, this is a 4.5. Having seen the real deal in New York, this is as close as it gets, and the outer shell has a nice crisp sheen to it. And oh my god, that dark color is unlike anything I've ever baked before. For taste, it's also 4.5. I'm not a huge chocolate cookie fan, but this one really impressed me, being chocolatey and not overpowering or too sweet in any way. For texture, I loved the contrast between the crisp exterior and the brownie-like interior, and it was nice and moist, so I'm again going a 4.5 here. It's looking good. And finally for ease, it's tempting to mark it down because I had that issue with the eggs, but the recipe itself was easy to follow, so I'm going for a 3.5. With a total of 17, believe it or not, this is our best cookie ever. Here is Cupcake Gemma's book, which I'm trying and failing to keep clean. Crumbs and Doilies, which is fantastically laid out, and now your new source for all things New York style cookies at home. Check it out in bookstores and online. So smudge up those pages, keep on baking, and see you next time as we rate our next recipe. Bye!